about what we're going to be covering today.
Irregular plural nouns. So what is an irregular plural noun? Well, let's remember that the regular way to make a noun plural is by adding s or es. But irregular plural nouns do not follow the regular way. So even though irregular plural nouns don't follow a certain rule, some of them have a pattern. To change a singular noun into a plural noun that ends in a consonant letter and y, we change the y into an I and add es.
You know this one already. This is a good review.
Be careful. If a noun ends in a consonant letter plus y, the y is changed into an I and we add es. However, if it's a vowel letter plus y, then we just add s. For example, one puppy, two puppies. One lady, three ladies. One boy, three boys. To change a singular noun into a plural noun that ends in an f becomes v, then we add es.
It's kind of like the consonant Y.
One leaf, six leaves. One shelf, two shelves. Other irregular plural nouns don't have a pattern, but they still do change. For example, man becomes men. Woman becomes women. Person becomes people. And child becomes children. Here are more examples of other popular irregular plural nouns. So foot becomes feet, tooth becomes teeth, goose becomes geese, mouse becomes mice, and ox becomes oxen. Finally, let's take a look at how some irregular plural nouns don't change at all. So nouns like deer, sheep, fish, moose all stay the same and don't change when I try to make them plural. You did it! Now you know some of the most common irregular plural nouns. Thanks for watching.
Okay. Maybe you can use your elbow and turn the line on. So, what are we talking about today? Victoria, what do you think we're talking about today? What was that video all about? Ethan? What type of irregular nouns? Irregular plural nouns. Very good. So that means the title of today's note is irregular. Make sure you're spelling irregular correctly. It's IRREGULAR. Irregular plural nouns. You should already have today's date at the top, October 19th, 2020. Your notebook was already supposed to be open. And we're going to talk about irregular plural nouns. So first of all, Mason, when you write these notes, copy it exactly as I have it, and I'll tell you where to put it. So on the pink line, you're going to put a little dot. It's called a bullet point. First, let's do a quick review. What is a plural noun? What is a plural noun? I don't see anybody looking back. You have the answers right there in front of you. Are you looking at the titles of your notes? Because some of you are just flipping, and you're all the way back in like types of sentences. What is a plural noun? Aaron.
Names more than one person, place, thing, idea.
So it's a word that names more than one person, place, thing, or idea. Now, some of you looked back. Some of you just stood there or just sat there like, what is it? Well, that's silly. Because where do you have the exact answer? So that you don't have to sit there and go, what is it? And make your brain hurt trying to remember. Where is it, Cullen?
In your book.
Where in your notebook? Where? Aaron?
Where it says we did singular and plural nouns.
From what day?
9-28-20.
So September 28th, all you had to do was go back like a page or two, and there were the notes. So a plural noun is a word that names more than one person, place, or thing. For example, you can give me an example from the other day, or from a couple weeks ago. Aaron, give me one. So students. Students is an example because we're talking about more than one student. What's another one, Smith?
Museums.
Museums. Because we're talking about more than one museum. What's one more? Give me one more, Zadie.
Baseball.
Baseballs. Because we're talking about more than one baseball. Okay, so example goes kind of under and indented a little, not right under, so then you know that it's about that. And then we're going to do a little dash, because we're just going to do a quick review. So notice how it's not, the dash isn't right under the pink, or right under the dot on the pink line, it's over just a little bit. So let's talk about how we show regular plurals. How do you change most singular nouns into a plural noun? Victoria. You just add S. Most singular nouns become plural by adding S. Remember, this dash S means letter S. It just means the letter. What's the other rule that we talked about last week or a couple weeks ago? What was that other rule where you don't just add S? Look at the titles of your notes to find it. If it's Halloween narratives or items in a series, is the answer going to be there? If the title is singular and plural nouns, do you think the answer is going to be there? So what other rule? We said most singular nouns become plural by adding the letter S. But there was another rule that we talked about. What was it? Is the answer going to be on a page labeled proper nouns? Where's the answer going to be? Look at the titles. That's the whole reason they're there. Please look at the titles. That's the whole reason they're there, because you know you're not going to find answers for singular and plural nouns on a page of notes that's titled proper nouns or that's titled items in a series. So what other rule did we talk about? We don't always just add S. There's another rule that happens pretty often. What is it? Carla?
There's another rule when you have a vowel.
We're not there yet. What's the next one we talked about after just adding S? I know more than just Victoria was in class that day. Ethan, what's the next rule that we talked about? Huh? What else? So another dash right underneath the one before. If the word ends with CH, what else, Ethan? SH. X. Z. There's one more. Or S. What do you put at the end? How do you make it plural? So if the word ends with CH, SH, X, Z, or S, what do? Do you add I? Look at it. Look at your note. You add the letters. Remember that dash means letters. ES. Oops. To make it plural. Give me some examples. So we're going to go over a little bit more underneath that and write example. For example, Ethan, give me one. Dress becomes dresses. Give me another example. Zadie.
Brush becomes brushes.
Brush becomes brushes. Michaela, one more.
Box becomes boxes.
Box becomes boxes. Very good. Okay, there were 2 more rules that we talked about. I'm going to give you a minute to copy these, and then we're going to erase. What's one more rule that we learned about? What was the next rule that we learned about a couple weeks ago? Cullen.
When a singular noun ends with a consonant.
That's not the end.
Not A, E, I, O, U. Followed by Y. Change Y to the letter and add ES.
To the letter what? You just said change Y to the letter. That could be any letter.
Change the Y to an I and add ES.
Good. So, if the word ends with consonant, that means not a vowel. So any letter other than A, E, I, O, or U. If the word ends with a consonant followed by Y, change the Y, the letter Y to the letter I, and add ES. Can I erase if the word ends with CH, SH, X? Okay. Can I erase all of about this? I'll leave the examples up for a minute and then I'm going to erase them. So, who can give me an example of a word ending with consonant Y? Victoria, did you get to do one for this? Okay, Victoria. Is that consonant Y followed by Y? Were you listening? Because I said a consonant is any other letter other than what? Huh? A consonant is any other letter other than what letters? Kingston. A-E-I-O-U. Boy ends with O-Y. Is O a consonant? No, because it's a what? It's a vowel. So does that follow? So does boy follow this rule? No. Who can give me an example of a word that follows this rule? Smith.
Cherry changes to cherries.
Good. Cherry, spelled C-H-E-R-R-Y, becomes cherries because we take off the Y, change it to I, and then add E-S. Who can give me one more example? Ethan. Good. Spy, spelled S-P-Y, becomes spies because we take off the Y, change it to I, and then add ES. Good. Okay, the last thing we talked about happens every time, or pretty much every time. What's the last rule that we talked about the other day? Smith, or it was a couple weeks ago.
When a singular noun ends with a vowel, A, E, I, O, or U, followed by Y, just add S.
Good. So, just because it ends in Y does not mean we change it to I and add ES. Because if the word ends with a vowel, that's A-E-I-O-U, followed, followed by Y, just letter Y, so we're going to put that little dash, just add S. So if the word ends with a vowel followed by Y, just add S. Who can give me an example of that? Who can give me an example of a noun that ends with vowel Y and how we make it plural? Zadie.
Stray, strays.
Stray, as in like stray animals, becomes strays. All we do, we keep the Y and we add S. We would not make it S-T-R-A-I-E-S. That's just not what we do. Colin, is there another? What's another one?
Boys. Boy become boys.
Boy, B-O-Y. We just add an S, so now it is boys. Okay, everybody with me so far? So irregular plural nouns don't follow the rules. And that's what that's the new information we're going to be adding today. So this first note I'm about to give you sounds like it's a rule, but it's technically not because it doesn't happen every time. It happens most times, but not every time. So go over a little bit and put your little dash. If a singular noun ends with the letter F or the letters F-E, so if the singular noun ends with the letter F or the letter F-E, we saw this in the video. Change the letter F to the letter V and add ES. So again, if a singular noun ends with the letter F or the letters FE, change the F to a V and add ES. For example, we have the word wolf. W-O-L-F. Well, wolf ends with F. So we're going to change that by rewriting W-O-L, changing the F to a V, and then adding E-S. Think about how that sounds. I saw one wolf while I was camping. If I said I saw 10 wolves while I was camping, does that sound right? Wolves.
No.
No. Because when we talk about the plural of wolf, we don't say wolves, we say wolves. That's because the F becomes a V, and then you add ES. I'll give you one more example. The word knife ends with FE. So again, to make it plural, if instead of saying there is one knife in the kitchen drawer, we would write K-N-I exactly as it appears, change that F to a V, and then add ES. Because we don't say there are 4 knives in our kitchen drawer. We say there are 4 knives in our kitchen drawer. In the video, they use the word leaf. We don't say, oh, look at all the leaves falling. We say, look at the leaves falling. If I'm standing right here, can you see? We might have to figure something out. Is it okay? Is it okay? We'll see how you feel at the end of the day. Okay. Everybody understand singular nouns that end with F or FE. Everybody got it? Okay. This is another one you might see. If a singular noun ends with the letter O, if the singular noun ends with the letter O, add the letters ES. So if a singular noun ends with the letter O, add ES to the end. You've probably seen me do this in math and you're like, what? Why is she doing this? Because, for example, if I have the word 0, if I have the noun 0, that's the name of that number. It ends with O. So to make it plural, we would add ES. The O stays the same. All we do is add ES. Another example. Potato. Potato ends with O. Do we change the O to anything? No. We just write the word potato and add ES, so it becomes potatoes. What that E is telling you is that when you read this word, you still have to say the O as a long O sound. Because remember, silent E makes the vowel long. So that's all they're telling you. Not that this is the word zeros or potatoes. It's zeros and potatoes. There's no such thing as zeros or potatoes. It's zeros and potatoes. Think of the word toes. How do you spell toes if you're talking about your toes? How do you spell it? Victoria? T-O-E-S. Well, that rhymes with zeros and potatoes. So that means you have to put ES at the end of those. Very good.
That rhymes too.
Now, that's the end of the somewhat rules. It's not the end of the notes.
Oh.
The end of the somewhat rules, because then we get into the weird ones that follow no rule at all. Can I erase? Okay. Well, you better hurry. That's why bring your glasses.
Yes.
Glasses goes by so much faster. Don't forget them. Okay, I'm going to erase the F and FE. Now we get into the ones that don't follow a rule at all, which means what do you have to do? If they don't follow a rule, can you rely on thinking of that rule when you come to a new word? Zadie? So what do you have to do when they don't follow a rule? When there's no rule or pattern to solve, what do you have to do? Starts with an M. Smith, please don't do that. Starts with an M. It's what I tell you to do with your basic facts. Michaela, memorize. That means you just have to remember this. So, some irregular nouns, plural nouns, don't forget the word plural. Some irregular plurals, we'll just call them irregular plurals because we know we're talking about nouns. Some irregular plurals change their vowel sound. So some irregular plurals change their vowel sound. There is supposed to be a space here, if that's your question. What's your question?
The glare is kind of blocking. Is it T-H-E-I-R or
Yes.
T-H-E-R-E?
T-H-E-I-R, because we're talking about the irregular plurals have a vowel sound. So T-H-E-I-R is possessive. T-H-E-R-E is a place. So some irregular plurals change their vowel sound. For example, there's really no way to know which ones they are other than to memorize. Goose, G-O-O-S-E, does not become gooses like we would think. It becomes geese, G-E-E-S-E. So that oo sound made by the two O's becomes an E sound made by two E's. Another example, mouse, M-O-U-S-E, has that O-U that makes the ow sound. We don't say two mouses, we say two mice. So that O-U, ow, becomes long I. And there's other examples of that. We'll see them later. Because there's lots of words that do that. But again, how do we know which ones? How do we know which nouns change their vowel sound? Is there a rule we can follow? So what do we have to do to know which words change their vowel sound? Cullen?
We have to memorize.
We just have to memorize. That's just how it is. Okay, can I erase singular nouns ending with O? Okay. Mason, with more practice, you'll get faster because all these kids have had a lot of practice. And do you find yourself copying faster than you used to? Most of you do. Kingston knows when he has his classes. We'll have them tomorrow, right? What are you going to have tomorrow, Kingston? Yep. We'll have to do what we do with what they do with Trey in middle school, except it'll only be you because I can't go get donuts for everybody. You have them for a whole week. You get an extra treasure out of the treasure jar. We have to have them every day for a week. You do it? You have to have your glasses every day for a week, and then you get an extra treasure out of the treasure jar on Friday. Maybe everybody will get an extra treasure jar. We'll do that. And at home, I don't know. We'll figure out. Okay, hands down. Let's continue. Okay. So some irregular plurals change their vowel sound, like goose becomes geese, mouse becomes mice. Well, some irregular plurals follow no pattern. Mason, when I have double T's, I do them like this sometimes. That's not an H. It's just two T's that have one line across them. I try to remember not to, but sometimes I forget. Some irregular plurals follow no pattern or rule at all. Don't know why it happened. It just happened. For example, person is not persons. What's the plural of person? Michaela? People, which is spelled P-E-O-P-L-E. So about the only thing that stayed the same is that both words start with P-E. Woman is not woman's. It becomes women. Now this is a really weird one. Ox becomes oxen. So you wouldn't say 6 oxes, you know, like the animal ox. You wouldn't say 6 oxes, you would say 6 oxen. And now the very last thing that happens is some irregular plurals don't change at. Some irregular plurals don't change at all. That means there is no change. You have to look somewhere else in the sentence to figure out, is that word plural or is it singular? For example, sheep. Whether you're talking about 1 sheep or 10 sheep, the word stays the same. We don't say sheeps. We say 1 sheep, 10 sheep. Another one is fish. We don't say fishes, even though you've probably heard that a lot. It's actually just fish. Whether you have 1 fish or 10 fish. Yes, Kingston.
Isn't it on that picture that's over there?
Uh-huh. Yep, 1 fish, 2 fish. You don't say 2 fishes. Think about the Dr. Seuss story. It says 1 fish, 2 fish. Not 2 fishes. Fish, deer. Whether you're talking about 1 deer, 10 deer. There's no S. Shrimp. We don't say 6 shrimps. We say 6 shrimp. And one last one. This is not the only one, but this is the last one we're going to write because we have some room. Moose. Whether you have 1 moose or 10 moose, it is still moose. Not meese. Not mooses. Just moose. Yes, Kingston?
What if people like to call it bees instead of moose?
Then they're being silly. Which sometimes it's okay to be silly as long as it's the time and the place. If you see a whole group of moose and you say, hey, look at all those meese, well then people may laugh because they might think you're joking. Hopefully you are joking. But if you're doing a grammar problem at school and it says what's the plural of moose and you put meese, well then, is that the right time and the place to be silly?
No.
No. There's always a time and a place for silliness. During a lesson, while doing independent practice is not that time. Yes, Victoria, quickly.
I'm getting my eyes checked.
Okay, that's not important right now. Okay. Okay. Go ahead and read us the bullet point at the top. Mason, I have a stick for you, but I'll let you just listen today, but tomorrow you might get called. Zadie, read that bullet point at the top.
Some nouns have special plural forms.
What types of nouns? What is our whole lesson on today?
Irregular.
Irregular plural nouns. So irregular plural nouns have special plural forms. That means they don't follow the rules. Or they have different rules altogether, like the F and the O, like ending in F or FE and O. So what we're doing is we have a word bank. We have to match the word in this box with the singular noun on the line. So these are all plural nouns. These are all plural forms of these singular nouns. So we have to look. First we have to look, okay, does this follow a rule, or is this one that is just does whatever it feels like? Then we're going to write the one on the line. So number 1, man. So what we can do, well, first, anytime we have a word bank, what we should first count how many words there are. Because counting how many words will give us an idea of whether we're going to use everyone once, we're not going to use everyone, or we might have to use one more than once. So let's count. Count with me. Remember, don't count it until I put my finger on it. That's what I had to do with preschool. Luckily, you guys are getting it a lot faster than they did. Hopefully. Okay. 1,
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20.
good. Much faster. That took us like 6 weeks in preschool. But they are preschoolers.
Yes.
So there are 20 words in our word bank and there are 20 problems. What does that probably mean? Colin,
We don't have to use one twice.
we're going to use each one once. Does that always mean that's true? No, because sometimes they may be trying to test you. I have 20 words here. I have 20 problems, but some of them may still have to be repeated. So anytime we have a word bank or multiple choice, we don't just want to go with the first thing we think. We want to read all the options and make sure we have the right one. I will tell you today we will use each one once, so we can cross them out as we go. But if you get to a point where you have a word bank and you thought you were only going to use each word once, but you get to a point where none of the words work, well, either it means you might actually have to use one more than once, or you didn't choose the best answer before. So let's look. Number 1, man. I'm going to put everybody back in. Number 1, man. Victoria, what is the plural form of man? M-E-N. So we can go ahead and write that and then cross it off on the list. Number 2, child. We don't say 6 child. We say 6 what, Aaron? Children. Let's cross it off. Okay, number 3. We don't say 3 womens. We say 3 what, Michaela? Women. W-O-M-E-N. Notice how woman ends with man. Man is spelled the same way. Well, they both changed the A to that E. That sounds like it might be a pattern right there. It's not necessarily a rule, but it does look like a pattern. Number 4, life. We don't say a cat has 9 lives. We say a cat has 9 what, Carla?
Lives.
Not lives. It rhymes with life. A cat has 9. You've got, Mason, you've got the right word, Carla. You just did not say it correctly. We don't say lives. That's the verb. She lives down the street. But a cat has 9. Cullen, help her out.
Lives.
Lives. So Carla, you have the right word. But just like life, the I in life is long, the I in lives is long. That follows that F or FE rule, where the F becomes a V, and then we add ES. Number 5, calf. Zadie, we don't say that cow had 2 calves. We say it had 2 calves. C-A-L-V-E-S. So again, we're following that F or F-E rule. The F becomes a
V.
and then we add
Yes.
good. Number 6, thief. Smith. We don't say Aladdin and the 40 thieves. We say Aladdin and the 40 thieves because it follows that F rule. We change the F to what, Smith?
A V.
And then we add
E-S.
good. Number 7, potato. Did I already cross out these? Please. That is not necessary. We don't need all the extra sounds. We don't say 6, 7 potatoes. We say what, Ethan? Potatoes, because this has an O at the end, so what do we have to add to make it plural? Ethan, what do we add to potato to make it plural? Do we just add S? E-S. Because it's not potatoes, it's potatoes. Number 8, goose. Colin.
Geese.
Geese, that's one of those ones where the vowel sound changes. So instead of O-O for oo, we change it to E-E to say E. Number 9, ox. Kingston. This doesn't follow any rule because the plural of ox is what? Oxen. O-X-E-N. Mason, please don't call out. Number 10, wife. Zari. This follows the F rule because the plural of wife is what, Zari?
Wives.
Which means we change the F to a
V.
and then we add
E-S.
yes, good. Number 11, foot. Do we say that chair is 6 foot away from me? Colin,
No.
what do we say? That chair is 6
Feet.
feet. Oops, we've got about oxen and wives. We say feet. So foot is one where the vowel sounds, that O-O for oo, changes to E-E for E. Foot becomes feet. Number 12, hero. Victoria. It ends with O, so what do we do to make it plural?
We add ES.
So heroes is not heros, it is heroes. Okay, number 13, tooth. Michaela, do we say my tooth fell out? What do we say? My teeth. So again, like goose and foot, that O-O for oo is changed to E-E for E. Now that doesn't happen every time because we will not find out. Because do we change moose to meese? No. It just happens a lot. Number 14, gentlemen. What does that become, Zadie? We're not talking about one gentleman, we're talking about 14. Mason, please. 14 what? Gentlemen, not one gentleman, but 14 gentlemen. Ooh, I see. Man at the end. So just like the man in men and the woman in woman, it becomes gentlemen. Number 15, knife. Zari, do we say my kitchen has 4 knives?
No.
No, what do we say?
My kitchen has 4 knives.
Because it follows that F rule, where the F becomes,
A V.
and then we add,
E-S.
good. Number
I just did the
16.
same thing on wives.
Yeah, you did. Number 16, tomato. Ethan, you're doing the same thing on yours too. Do we just add S for it to be tomatoes? What do we add? add, Ethan? ES. So that it's tomatoes. So we got teeth. Okay. And we forgot next. Next one, number 17, mouse. Carla, I don't say there's so many mouses in this building. What do I say?
Mice.
There's what?
You say mice.
Mice.
Not mouses.
Mice. That OU changes to an I. Number 18, louse. Ooh, Aaron, louse. You may not have heard this word before, but look at the pattern that it could possibly follow. Based on the spelling, Louse, and what's left up in the word bank. So if I'm talking about louse, I don't say I have a bunch of louses. I say I have a bunch of look at the word bank, what's left? It follows a similar rule as another word. Are you looking at your word bank, Aaron? There's only 4 left, or no, I missed one. There's only 3 left. So which one does it have to go with? Aaron, there's only 3 words left. Look at the spelling of louse and another word you know that is spelled the same and how we make that plural. Aaron, look at your word bank. You have 3 words that have not been used yet. Have you been crossing them out with us? Okay, there's 3 words that have not been crossed out yet. Louse goes with one of them. Which one is it? Aaron, come on. Is it halves? No. Is it leaves? No. Is it lice? Yes, because we know it's not leaves or halves, so that means it has to be what? Lice. Also, if you look at mouse, the OU changes to I. Well, it's the same thing with louse. Come on, Aaron. Use process of elimination. That means you may not be 100% sure, but you know it's the only one that can work. Okay, number 19, leaf. Kingston. We don't have 6 leaves. We have 6 leaves because it follows that F rule where the F becomes what? The F becomes what? And then we add ES. Last one. Number 20, half. Smith.
Halves.
Halves because the F becomes
A V.
and then we add
ES.
very good. Okay. Now we have to start science, but first I want us to go over the independent practice. It'll be like what we've done the last couple times where you can go ahead and finish it tonight or finish part of it, but it is not due till the end of the day tomorrow. That means you can work on it during extra time tomorrow, but should you save it all for extra time tomorrow? No, because remember, we don't have a whole lot of extra time most days. Some days we do, but can you guarantee that we will have a lot of extra time? No. Nope. Okay, so I'm going to pass out independent practice. Carla? 1. Come on, guys. If you're not sure, then think about a sentence with a or an in it. I have an apple. How many apples do I have if I have an apple? 1. I have a dog. How many dogs do I have if I have a dog? 1. What about some? Is that 1 or more than 1? Class?
More than 1.
If I have a few, is that 1 or more than 1?
More than 1.
So pay attention. Sometimes it might have an actual number. So you have to read each sentence and decide if the underlined noun is singular or plural. You're just going to put singular or plural on the line. On the back or the second page, it says irregular plurals at the top. And then it has lists. On one side it says one and then a or an, which means you would use a or an before that word. Then on the other side it says a lot of or many. And there's two sections, okay? So you have to look at these numbers. It gives you the noun to use in parentheses. You have to choose the correct plural form. Some of them are regular plural nouns. Some of them are irregular. So you have to figure out, is this a regular plural noun that follows those rules that we did a few weeks ago or at the beginning of our notes today? Or are they irregular nouns that don't follow a rule or follow completely different? I'll give you a hint. If you see the word up here, what does that mean? What type of noun is it? Regular or irregular? If you see the word up here, is it a regular plural noun or an irregular plural noun, Cullen?
Irregular.
Irregular. If you don't see it up here, what do you think that means? What type of plural noun is it? If you don't see it up here in this word bank, what type of plural noun do you think it is? Cullen?
Plural.
What type of plural noun?
Oh.
If all of these show irregular plural nouns, what type of plural nouns do you think if the word is not in this word bank? Regular. So if it's not in this word bank, which rules are you going to follow? The irregular or the regular plural noun rules? Michaela? The regular. So go ahead and put all of that in your return to school folder. Your guided practice, your independent practice. You will bring home your notes.